Well, well, well. We meet again. You're doing good today. If you don't know me, well, let's be honest here, you don't know me. My name is Liz. You guys seem to be absolutely loving this series, so I thought I would go on and continue it. So, of course, today, don't mind my crusty nails. I just realized I didn't redo them. It's fine. It's whatever. Anyway, today we're going to be doing Beauty and the Beast's original story. And the best known version of this story was written by this author right here, whose story was of course called Beauty and the Beast. But obviously in French, however, this may be earth-shattering news, but I do not speak a lick of French. Don't know if you could tell. So, anyways, this is the side of Disney they don't want you to know about. But before we get into that, I do need to ask you to subscribe. Just so you don't miss out on any future content. I would really appreciate it. Please. And also, by the way, if you didn't know, the like button sparkles when you hit it, in case you wanted to give that a shot too. Now, once again, as usual, sit back, relax, leave me on as background noise for all I care, and enjoy. Okay, now the movie obviously starts out with like a 10-minute explanation of why the Beast became the Beast. I don't need to go over that. I don't think you want to hear me go over it. I don't want to go over it, so we'll skip right past that. So jumping right into things, Gaston is introduced into the film pretty early on. And Belle obviously has zero interest in this man whatsoever. Gaston and his friends crack some jokes about Belle's crazy father. She goes on to defend her father and claim he's not crazy, and with the utmost convenient timing ever, her house explodes behind her, literally.
Don't talk about my father that way.
Yeah, don't talk about her father that way.
My father is not crazy. He's a genius.
The house, I swear, is a paid actor in that, because the timing is impeccable. So obviously, since Belle's house just literally exploded, she runs back to the house to make sure her father is, alive. And her father actually, for once, who by the way is an inventor, invented something that actually works. So he leaves to go put his invention as a submission into the fair, essentially leaving Belle home alone. Now, in the French version, it starts out by introducing us to a merchant with 3 daughters and 3 sons. Big family. Now, 2 of the daughters are socialites, and for those who don't know what that means, Liz, take it away. Thank you, Liz. Now, socialite, a person who is well known in the fashion society and is fond of social activities and entertainment, especially someone who has a social life and good style. Now back to you, Liz. Thank you, Liz. Now, by the way, for some context, this family has money. So the 2 popular sisters essentially act like spoiled brats. Kind of like these 2 lovely ladies who might look familiar. And the youngest sister was obviously the complete opposite. Kind-hearted, intelligent, not an asshole, and people liked her so much that they nicknamed her Beauty. Out of nowhere, their father ends up losing their literal entire fortune. The whole family ends up moving to the countryside, where the whole fam ends up having to go work for money. Boo-hoo, what a shame. What a shame. Gotta work like everybody else now. Now everyone pitched in, and by the end of the year, they were honestly doing fine, and they were indeed not living in a hole anymore. Except for the 2 sisters, no, they still sat on their ass the entire time. They did nothing. They sat there and looked pretty. Except don't worry, they also complained the whole time about being poor while doing absolutely nothing to help. Now, the father ended up planning to invest in a cargo ship in order to make some cash money for his family. So he left to go into town in order to invest in said cargo ship. But also something to keep in mind, right before he left, the 2 older sisters asked him to bring back like gifts and stuff for themselves. All Belle really asked for was just simply a singular rose. Come on guys, this correlation is pretty obvious. Rose equals rose. Get with the program. Now, it's at this time of the movie where Belle's father ends up cutting through the woods and tries to take a shortcut. Said literally every father ever right before getting lost, just as he did in the woods. And by the time Belle's father realizes he probably shouldn't have gone that way, it is much too late for recovery. The horse gets spooked because it literally almost just ran off of a cliff and bucks Belle's father right off the back of it. and runs away, leaving her father stranded in the middle of the woods. A bunch of wolves start chasing him, but however, he finds his way to the gates of this massive castle. He screams for help, and the gates magically open up and let him in. And of course, obviously, he runs inside and closes the gates just in the nick of time. And so he wanders into the castle seeking safety. The candle, aka Lumiere, and the clock debate letting him stay, and of course, Lumiere tells him he's more than welcome to stay.
The word Lumiere, not one word.
I don't mean to intrude, but I've lost my horse, and I need a place to stay for the night.
Oh, Cogsworth, have a heart. Of course, monsieur, you're welcome here.
And Belle's father is obviously in shock and in awe that these inanimate objects are talking to him. And eventually, once the beast finds him, he's not at all happy about the fact that there's a random man standing in the middle of his castle. Belle's father explains that he was literally just lost in the woods, barely escaping death, and he genuinely sincerely apologized. But the beast, he don't care. He don't care at all, and locks Belle's father up in the dungeon. Now, in the French version, Beauty's father, while in the villages trying to invest in this cargo ship, realizes it's a bust and there's no point in it, not gonna make any money. So he starts to make his way back home. However, exactly like the movie, Mans gets lost in the woods, probably trying to take another shortcut. Yes, thank you, Liz. Now, this part in the French version is kind of nearly identical to the movie. The father finds his way into the castle to escape his near-death experience. He finds no one on the property except randomly warm food sitting on the dinner table. So after waiting around for a hot minute, waiting for someone to come and claim the food, he realizes no one's coming and he sits down and eats it himself. And then he goes to bed. And then the next morning, he wakes up and walks around, literally trying to find anybody. And since he at the end of the day, he's unable to find anybody, he just thanks the castle for its nice hospitality. And then he goes on his merry way. But before leaving, he passed a garden full of flowers, and of course, for his youngest daughter, he ends up picking one of the roses for his kid. When does the beast come in? We're getting there. This is when the beast comes in. And of course, he is pissed that this merchant is trespassing on his property. But not only that, this merchant had the balls to steal from his garden and take a rose. The audacity. And so the beast very kindly lets the merchant know that he's gonna kill him for that. But somehow, in some way, he ends up convincing the beast to let him go for now. However, there are conditions. He didn't just be like, okay, I guess you can go, have fun, live your best life. No, there's conditions. He can either, number one, come back himself, or number two, have one of his daughters take his place. And so the merchant makes his way home and shares with his family the tight situation that he got himself in. And Beauty volunteers to take his place, because in her opinion, it was her fault that he ended up there in the first place, considering she was the one who asked for the rose in the first place. Honestly, sounds fair to me, because she was the one who wanted the rose in the first place. So she and her father travel back to the palace to negotiate the terms and conditions of this agreement. And that was that. Now, bouncing back to the movie, we see that Gaston plans to propose to Belle, as his big egoed self marches right into her home, and he lets her know, this is the day your dreams come true. And somehow Belle manages to reject this man, even though he's literally has her pinned to the wall several times. And then skipping past a whole unnecessary song that I don't need to talk about, Belle is walking around outside and runs into her father's horse without her father and puts two and two together and realizes homeboy's missing. Cut to Belle finding the castle, and all of the appliances get happy to see Belle, or essentially any woman really, in the castle. And with the idea planted in their minds that she's the one who's going to break the curse, they end up leading her directly to where her father is. But the beast ends up finding her, and they argue about her father being locked up. Honestly, throughout this entire movie, their arguments crack me up. Anyway, it's been 3 days. yeah, my microphone died, and then procrastination got the best of me. So now we're gonna finish the story. So it's at this point in the story where Belle gets the idea to switch places with her father as the Beast prisoner, and the Beast allows it. And the Beast then shows Belle to her room right after kicking her father out of the castle. And he also lets her know that she's welcome to go anywhere she wants in the castle, just as long as she stays out of the West Wing. Lumiere gives the Beast the idea to invite Belle to dinner, and he does. However, he didn't ask Belle if she wants to come to dinner. He demanded that she must come to dinner, and then he leaves. And now going back to the French version, on the first night of Beauty's forever imprisonment, she has a dream that a mysterious woman comes to her and shares with her that she'll essentially just be rewarded for her sacrifice, which ends up being true the very next day. While she was wandering around the castle, she stumbles upon a room that just so happens to say Beauty's apartment written in gold letters above the door. And this place is fully decked out. I'm talking big library. I'm talking a harpsichord, which is just a type of piano. It looks like this. And there's also like an insane amount of music books. And she's pretty excited about this discovery, as I think anyone would be. And what are the odds that the first book she just so happens to open up has a message from this dream lady? And this message essentially reads, "Welcome Beauty, banish fear, you are queen and mistress here. Speak your wishes, speak your will, swift obedience meets them still." Which essentially is implying that since she hasn't been a total her entire life, that basically, according to this dream lady, Beauty's wish is her command. Yeah, I thought I said that backwards, but I didn't. So Belle is not Belle. Oh my god. So Beauty is like, I want to see my father. I miss him, and I would like to see him right now. And just like that, in a mirror nearby, an image appears of her father, and she sees him returning home looking very depressed, essentially because he just lost his favorite kid. But she also sees him being greeted by her other two sisters. So now going back to the movie, no one's no, immediately no, that's not happening. Because right in the middle of this total boost to Gaston's already very large ego, Belle's father breaks into the bar, freaking out and screaming for help for Belle.
Everyone knows her father's a lunatic. He was in here tonight, raving. Whoa, slow down, Maurice.
And he shares the news very loudly and very frantically about Belle's new situation. But of course, everyone thinks Mans is crazy, so now they think he's just even crazier, and no one takes him seriously. And as a joke to point even more fun at him, they just straight up kick him out of the bar. But this gives Gaston an idea that's a little crazy, but it will, in fact, entrap Belle to marrying him. So then there's a cutscene, and we flash back to Belle in the castle, who's just sobbing. And Miss Potts arrives to help Belle get ready for dinner. And this is when Belle realizes that all of the furniture is alive.
This is Lumiere.
Enchanté, chérie.
If there's anything we can do to make your stay more comfortable.
Ow!
And as it just so shockingly turns out, Belle refuses to go to dinner. And what's even more shocking is that the Beast is pissed that Belle does not want to come to dinner. And so they then argue like an old married couple about Belle's refusal to follow his literal, like, very few rules. And the Beast's temper gets the best of him, and he says if she's not willing to come to dinner with him, she can just simply starve. So he storms off to the West Wing and goes to use a magic mirror, and he uses it to spy on Belle. And this part in the movie is also when we see the magic of the rose for the first time, and we also see one of the petals fall off the flower. But later that night, Belle sneaks into the kitchen. She gets to talking with the household appliances and lets them know that she's hungry, obviously. And we finally get to my favorite part in the entire movie. Everyone is so excited that they finally get to serve literally anybody other than the Beast a meal. And so they welcome Belle with a little song. B-R. Yes. Oh. I just spilled my water. Okay, that's enough. I'm cutting myself off. Now they also take this time to give Belle a tour of the castle, and she just so happens to stumble upon the West Wing. So of course curiosity gets the best of her, and she goes right on up there. She stumbles upon a room that is just absolutely torn to shreds, and she also finds the rose and takes the glass off of the rose. Well, I don't know what she was thinking there, considering it's levitating, but, you know, she pops the lid right off. And also out pops the Beast, who's absolutely livid at Belle that she would have the audacity to not only be in the West Wing, but to also be touching the damn rose in the first place. He obviously kicks her out, because that's the one rule he set for her. Don't go in the West Wing. And she runs all the way out of the castle and hops on a horse and runs away. Why are you shocked that he's mad? I don't know why you're shocked. But anyway, as Belle is zipping through the woods on her horse, she comes across a pack of wolves and they attack her. But don't worry, because Beast to the rescue, and he manages to fight off all of the wolves, and in doing so saves Belle. However, Homeboy did get injured while defending Belle, and he collapses to the ground. So Belle loads the Beast onto the horse and she rides him back to the castle, just to clean his wounds. Now back to the French version, Beauty's first dinner with the Beast goes a lot differently. The Beast is actually super kind to Beauty in this version, and he explains to her that he has really low self-esteem, kind of for obvious reasons. And Beauty says that she thinks he's just a really nice guy. But by the end of the dinner, the Beast confesses his infatuation with Beauty, and he asks for her hand in marriage. 0 to 100 real quick, buddy. And wouldn't you know it, she says no. And as time passes, the dinners end up becoming a nightly thing, along with the daily marriage proposals. But also as time passes, Beauty becomes more attached to the Beast, but not in a I love you kind of way, more as a platonic best friends kind of way. And after 3 months of nightly dinners with wrapping things up with a marriage proposal, she finally just breaks the news to the Beast and makes it ever so clear that she only sees him as a friend, and that's it. And she also grows more depressed because she just continues to deeply miss her father and her family. Not her 2 sisters, though. And the Beast, like I said, since he's nice, allows her to go and see her family for a week. He also lets her know that if she's gone any longer than a week, however, that he will die of a broken heart. So once she's ready to come back to the castle, all she has to do is take her ring and place it on her nightstand and go to sleep. Once she wakes up, she'll be right back in the castle. Now, what we learn at this time is that while Beauty was away, her 2 sisters ended up getting married. But they were not happy with the men that they ended up with at all. And when they saw that Beauty had returned with all of these fancy clothes that the Beast had given her, and she wouldn't shut up about the luxurious life she was now living and how kind and sweet he was, they were jealous of this woman. And so the sisters plotted to ruin the Beast and Beauty's relationship. And since they knew that all Beauty ever really wanted was a relationship with them, they simply just drowned her in love. And so when the time came for Beauty to have to leave, they threw a massive hissy fit over her leaving and begged her to stay. And so she did. And by the 10th day, Beauty had another dream vision. This time, however, it was about the Beast, and not this random dream lady. She saw him in the garden, quite literally on the ground, dying of a broken heart. And she also realized that if she cared this much, that there must be something deeper than just the platonic love she thought she had for him. So she obviously comes to the realization that she loves him, and she rushes back into her room, takes her ring off, places it on the nightstand, and goes to bed. And just like that, the next morning, she was right back in the castle. Now moving back to the movie, where Beast is thanking Belle for saving his life and wants to do something special for her in return. And then this is when Beast shows Belle the massive library that he was hiding in the castle. And so the two end up spending a lot of time together, and they end up forming a really good relationship. And so the Beast comes up with an idea a couple days after them bonding to finally confess his feelings to her tonight. And they both come down dressed as their iconic selves, with of course Belle wearing her iconic yellow dress. And this is when we get this iconic "Fearless oldest time, true as it can be." Alright, girl, you gotta relax. There's copyright is a thing, and you're gonna get me striked. You gotta come on. Now, by the end of the dance, the Beast asks Belle if she's truly happy here. She says yes, however, she says that she misses her father. And it's now that the Beast shows Belle the magic mirror he's been hiding this entire time. And the Beast tells the mirror to show Belle her father. But she sees her father in danger in the woods. And the Beast sets Belle free so she can go rescue her father. And he also gifts her the mirror, so that's hers to keep now. Belle searches through the woods, finds her father unconscious face down in the snow, and helps him get back to their house. And then Chip jumps out of Belle's bag and asks why she left the castle, but before Belle even gets a chance to explain, there's a knock at the door, and someone is there to collect her father for the insane asylum, and so is like 2/3 of the entire town. They all claim that Belle's father is crazy. Belle obviously protests, and Gaston steps in and says he'll let her father go as long as she agrees to marry him. And she actually says she can prove he's not crazy and whips out the mirror that the beast gave her and shows everyone the beast. Gaston says Belle is equally as crazy as her father and that everyone should go out and kill the beast. And so he ventures off to go and do so. And the household appliances prepare for a battle. And of course, they win. However, during that time is when Gaston finds his way to the beast, who is just willing to let himself die at this point because he's so distraught that he doesn't have Belle anymore and probably never will. And then Gaston takes a bow and arrow and shoots the beast right in the back. And finally, Belle returns and Beast sees this. And this is when the beast starts to fight back and he completely dominates Gaston. But the beast decides to spare Gaston's life. And just as they're starting to finally reunite, Belle finally catches up to the beast, and just as they're about to finally reunite, Gaston done stabbed the beast right in the back, literally. But it's funny how karma works, because Gaston just falls right backwards, right off the roof. And just like that, the fight's over. But the injury Gaston did to the beast was too great, and it kills the beast, along with the rose. But just as the last petal was falling, Belle tells the beast that she loves him, which of course lifts the spell that everyone was under and heals the beast and turns him back into a man. Of course, they share true love's kiss, and everything turns back to the way it was, and the lovebirds get married and happily ever after. The end. And now, back to the other story. Beauty rushes around the castle, frantically trying to find the beast, fearing just the worst, that at this point he's just dead. And just as she saw in her dreams, the beast was passed out in the garden. She takes a bucket of water from the kitchen and dumps it right on his head. I just want to say, never actually do this to an unconscious person. You're not saving them. You're just waterboarding them. However, this is movie magic, so that won't happen here. So this action wakes him up, and she confesses her love to him, and she finally proposes to him. And similar to the movie, the whole castle starts glowing, and out of nowhere, the beast that she originally fell in love with turns out to be this handsome man. And just like the movie, the prince explains to Beauty essentially how he got cursed, and they walk into the castle hand in hand and find Beauty's entire family waiting for her, along with the dream lady, who praises Beauty for judging the beast on his personality and not his looks. And she also tells her that she's going to be a great queen. And then she turns to Beauty's sisters. She calls them selfish and wicked to their very core, and curses them to a life of statues who will guard the castle forever up until they're willing to accept their faults. And then they all lived happily ever after. So what did you guys think of the original? And as always, let me know which version of the story you guys like more, the Beast versus Gaston or the Beast versus Sisters. Let me know in the comments below, and please subscribe if you enjoyed it. It would really mean a lot to me. And also just a reminder that the like button sparkles when you hit it, and so does the subscribe button, in case you forgot. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!